Clint Eastwood is 95 years old, but he lives like a man who's only 30. Most mornings he jumps out off bed at 5 in the morning and does exercise that would make many young athletes really tired. After that he might jump into the helicopter he flies by himself and glide over the California coast. He doesn't like birthday parties, so he tells friends not to plan any. Recently he even bought another big house just because he said it looked pretty. His own kids joke that they can't keep up with Dad. Back when Clint was born, nurses called him Simpson because he weighed more than 11 pounds. He grew up in Piedmont, California, rich town where his parents owned two cars. The family swam in their own pool and they had a country club membership. His mom could trace her family back to Themey Flower. Many fans later thought Clint came from poor beginnings, but the cowboy look he had on screen was partly just acting he did to make it in Hollywood. In school, Clint had trouble. He failed a grade in middle school and had to do the year over at Oakland Technical High. Teachers begged him to join drama club because they saw he had talent. He ignored them. He was more interested in fixing Karen jeans and hanging out with girls than doing homework. Some classmates event that he never really graduated, but he had one big hint that he might become an artist. Piano. He memorized hard classical songs until his fingers hurt. That same focus helped when he later wrote music for his own movies. After high school, Clint didn't run to Hollywood. He tried dangerous jobs first. In Oregon, he helped guide huge logs down rivers. One wrong step could kill you. Then he got drafted for Army service during the Korean War. He was stationed at Fort Ord. He made extra money as a lifeguard and breaking up bar fights as a bouncer. In 1951, he was a passenger in a Navy plane that lost power and crashed near Pointries. Clint swam more than 2 miles through freezing shark-filled water. Tasher. He later used that memory to film the escape scene in Escape from Alcatraz. His acting career started with a tiny part in 1955's Revenge of the Creature, a Keep Monster movie sequel. He played a nervous lab helper and earned $75 a week. The director needed 15 tries for Clint's main shot and almost cut through whole scene. After only 18 months, Universal Studios ended his contract. Bosses said his Adam's apple was too big, his speech was too slow, and the chip tooth he wouldn't fix made him look unfriendly. Burt Reynolds also got fired that day and joked, "At least I can learn to act. You can't hide that Adam's apple." But Clint got the last laugh when he came back years later as a $1 million star. His big break came by accident. One day while Clint talked with a story editor at NBC, a CBS boss noticed him in the cafeteria. The tall stranger staff look stood out. That quick look led to a screen test and the role of Rowdy Yates in the TV Western Wide. Almost overnight, the man the studio had called too slow became a national sensation. Within 3 weeks, Wide was in America's top 20 TV shows. Clint thought Rowdy was childish, but the audience loved him. The work schedule was brutal, 6 days of shooting in desert heat, but Clint's pay jumped from $750 to well over $100,000 per episode by the final season. Director joked that Clint always showed up late, so they never put him in the first scene. After 6 seasons, Clint felt trapped. That's when a weird offer came from Italy. An unknown director named Sergio Leone, using the fake name Bob Robertson, wanted Clint to star in a cheap Western shot in Spain. Big stars Henry Fonda and James Coburn had already said no to the role because the pay was small. Clint figured nobody in the United States would even see the movie if it was bad, so he said yes. He traveled to Spain not knowing Italian while Leone didn't speak English. They as translators and hand signals. The movie A Fistful of Dollars changed Clint's life. He even designed his gunslinger outfit himself, bleached black jeans, reused his rawhide boots and belts, found a beat-up hat at Au's shop, grabbed a poncho from a Madrid cellar, and chose stubby cigars for the character's trademark squint. He wanted the gunman to speak very little, believing silence would make him seem more dangerous. Viewers agreed. The silent stringer became a legend. Even though critics said that Clint looked like a block of wood. But the spaghetti western trilogy made $84 million worldwide on a budget of only $2 million. Audiences didn't care what critics thought. Clint Eastwood had made it. While critics rolled their eyes, ticket buyers kept lining up. So Clint kept going. By the early 1970s, he was looking for a role that could break him out of westerns and make him a modern leading man. A tough script called Dirty Harry was going around Hollywood, but every major star kept saying no. Frank Sinatra on first, but backed out, saying an old hand injury made the giant magnum too heavy. John Wayne said no because he didn't like playing leftover parts. Stephen Queen felt he had already done the tough cop story in Bullet. Even Paul Newman, known for risky choices, turned it down. But he slipped the script to Clint and said, "This looks like you." Clint grabbed it. He brought in his own movie company Malpaso and hero director Don Siegel. He kept the violence raw and the talking short. Audiences gasped when Inspector Harry Callahan sneered, "Do you feel lucky?" The movie made 10 times its budget and started for sequels. Almost overnight, Clint became the face of a new type of city action film. Instead of sticking with one look, he made a wild turn in 1978 by signing on for Every Which Way But Loose. Friends warned him a fist-fighting trucker with a pet orangutan named Clyde sounded like career suicide. Clint trusted his gut. The buddy comedy broke box office records, macking over $100 million. Critics groaned, but families flocked to see Clint act silly for bananas with a playful primate. A sequel, Any Which Way You Can, dead another huge pile of ticket sales. Sadly, Hollywood's happy animal story hid a dark truth. Years later, whispers went around that Clyde's trainer had beaten the ape to death after filming. The story made Clint furious, but by then the damage was done. Clint has never backed away from real danger. In 1975, he shot The Ager Sanction, a thriller about a former assassin climbing Europe's deadly North Face. Early in filming, a professional caliber on the crew was killed biffling rocks. The accident scared Ivarian, but Clint, who was also directing, chose to keep going. Headed his own stunts, hanging from ledges thousands of feet up with very little safety gear. At age 44, he risked his life daily because he believed viewers could sense when something was real. That Dorito spirit went back to his army days when he survived the ocean crash. His ability to say no proved just as bold as his willingness to jump. When producers offered him Superman in the late 70 seconds, he said no. He felt a tight costume and cape didn't fit his style. Around the same time, the James Bond movies quietly asked if he was interested, thinking an American 007 might freshen the series. Clint shook his head. He knew audiences saw him as the rough-edged loner, not a smooth tuxedo spy. Those decisions saved him from roles that could have ruined his tough guy brand. Clint's next big step was getting behind the camera full-time. He'd already directed one episode of Rawhide in the 1960s for practice, but in 1971 had decided to direct a feature play Misty Fawn, a scary stalker story. Most first-time directors go over budget and schedule, but Clint finished early and saved $50,000. He shot in and around his coastal hometown of Carmel, using real bars, real roads, and even the local radio station as sets. He personally talked singer Roberta Flack into letting him use The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face for only $2,000. The song later topped charts thanks to the film's success. Critics praised Clint's calm directing style. Hespe quietly trusted actors and often used the first take because it felt alive. Years before, in 1967, he and advisor Irving Leonard had formed Malpaso Productions to avoid studio meddling. The name came from Malpaso Creek near Clint's land, plus an agency warning that Italian westerns were a bad step. That bad step money allowed Clint to buy hundreds of acres by Creek and use Malpaso as a shield. From then on, if a script was bad, Clint wrote it. If a studio said no, Clint paid for it himself. And he made his famous own or two-take rule. Actors coming on set learned fast if you messed up your lines, the camera might already be moving in. By 1992, Clint was 62 and felt ready to revisit the West in a final serious way. A script called The Cutthroats floated Darren for years with no takers. Clint bought it early, let it sit like wine, and named it Unforgiven. The story of vanaging gunslinger forced back into violence seemed perfect for the older Eastwood. He added nods to Leone and Siegel in the credits as if tipping his shit to mentors. Unforgiven won 4 Oscars including Best Picture and Best Director. Box office total soared past $150 million on a modest budget. Critics say the old cowboy genre was reborn and Clint's place among top filmmakers was it. Clint used that new respect to explore darker modern stories. In 2003, he directed Mystic River, a slow-burning tale of childhood trauma, murder, and regret. He kept the camera work simple, not flashy moves, so the audience focused on raw emotion. Sean Penn and Tim Robbins gave powerful performances, each winning An Oscar. Reviewers suddenly spoke of Clint not just as a movie star who directs but as one of America's most precise storytellers. The very next year took an even bigger gamble with $1 Million Baby. Studios hesitated cause the script tackled. Aside, a topic many felt was box office epicen. Eastwood pressed ahead, starring as a gruff boxing trainer opposite Hilary Swank. Warner Brothers quietly released the film on just a few screens. Word of mouth exploded. Audiences wept. Critics raved. It made more than $200 million worldwide and swept the Academy Awards. Clint at 74 took home Oscars for Best Picture and Best Director again, proving his instincts were razor sharp. When industry watchers assumed he would slow down, Clint surprised them with Gran Torino in 2008. He played Walt Kowalski, a bitter Korean war vet who grudgingly befriends his neighbors. The role felt like the ghost of Dirty Harry, older, angrier, but still dangerous. Shot for a small-budget, the movie made $270 million and became one of Clint's biggest hits. Fans connected with Walt's gruff humor and ultimate sacrifice. Even at nearly 80, Eastwood's on-screen presence could anchor a global blockbuster. All this success came from Clint's unique working style. He never shouted action. He found the word startling, especially back in the days when horses might bolt during Western shoots. Instead, he'd quietly say, "Whenever you're ready." Actors like Tom Hanks recalled finishing an emotional scene only to hear Clint softly murmur, "That's enough of that, crew would move in." Sets stayed calm, budget stayed lean, and the natural first takes often ended up in the final cut. Behind Hollywood lights, Clint's private life unfolded as a patchwork of relationships and secret children. Lori Murray's discovery that Clint was her biological father stunned both of them, but they quickly formed a warm bond. Golf outings and family holidays made up for lost decades. Kimber Tunis, his daughter with stuntwoman Roxanne Etnis, had known Clint quietly all along. Kimber's mother and Clint's wife Maggie had coexisted in awkward secrecy for years. In 1989, partner Sandra Locke came home to find the locks changed on their house. She sued, claiming Clint had pushed her out after their 14-year relationship. He offered her a development deal at Warner Brothers that later proved hollow. Locke sued again for fraud, and the courtroom battle turned ugly, splashing headlines about Clint's private dealings. They never spoke after settling quietly. Meanwhile, flight attendant Jacelyn Reyes raised Scott and Catherine Eastwood in Hawaii, far from Hollywood. Clint's name did not appear on their birth certificates. When tabloids exposed that truth in 1990, the story shocked Sandra Locke, who had no idea Clint had fathered 2 children during their affair. As adult actors, Scott and Catherine now talk openly about their complicated family tree. Catherine once vented online, threatening legal action over inheritance disputes, showing how old secrets still spark modern arguments. In 2014, Clint met Christina Sandera, a cheerful hostess at his Mission Rank Hotel in Carmel. They kept a low profile, walking dogs along the beach and tending to Christina's horse projects. Family members said she brought steady happiness. Her sudden death in 2024 from heart problems devastated Clint. He released a short, heartfelt statement, then slipped back to work as he always does in grief. Despite loss, Clint embraces being a grandfather. Daughter Francesca says he goes to Little League games and school plays, cheering louder than anyone. He admits feeling ridiculous aiming young parents but doesn't care. Theon's distant father now hands out ice cream money and goofy advice. Age is often the man who once barked orders in dusty sets. At 95, Clint wrapped Juror Number 2, a thriller about a juror who realizes he caused the fatal crash at the center of the trial. Some called it his last film, but rumors swirled they'd already booked actors and crew for another. Clint avoids talk of retirement. He avoids birthday cakes too. Daughter Elizabeth says he shuts down surprise parties. He'd rather stand behind a camera than blow out candles. A strange controversy hit in 2024 when a YouTube interview featuring Clint vanished without warning. The host claimed Warner Brothers pulled the video because Clint criticized political correctness and modern Hollywood. Fans cried censorship. Others guessed contractual issues. Clint stayed silent, letting speculation burn out on its own. He's never chased social media storms. He prefers to let finished films speak for him. That steadfast focus and work, not noise, defines Clint Eastwood's legend. From rejected contract player to Oscar-winning director, from silent gunslinger to gentle grandfather, he keeps moving forward. And every dawn at 5, while most people his age sleep in, Clint laces up sneakers, hits the weights, and proves the toughest cowboy still rides. When people ask how Clint keeps going, he jokes that motion is his medicine. Most mornings begin with a light breakfast, plain yogurt, berries, and a small spoon of protein powder. After 40 minutes, he's lacing up boots to walk his ranch trails as the sun rises. That ranch, Mission Rank in Carmel, is a symbol of Hisicant life away from studios. Clint first saw the rundown dairy property in 1980 seconds, fell in love with the pasture view, and bought it before developers could bulldoze the land. He restored the barns into cottages, fixed the restaurant, and left the sheep grazing in open fields, so guests could sip coffee while watching lambs roam the grass. Many evenings he strolls the patio quietly, greeting tourists who often do double takes when they realize the owner is waiter refilling water glasses. Work always pulls him back to Los Angeles, but Clint keeps Hollywood at arm's length. He rarely goes to Black Tea Award banquets, though the Academy sends him invites every year. He prefers preview screenings for crews and firefighters in Carmel instead of red carpet debuts. When American Sniper premiered, he skipped fancy after parties and flew straight home to feed his dog. Even his real estate buys show his restless spirit. In 2022, he bought a sprawling weather-beaten ranch outside Boise, Idaho, simply because he liked how cottonwoods looked in autumn. He keeps small cabins there so crew members can stay during location scouting trips. One producer joked that Clint might own more post-production suites and barns than Warner Brothers owns on the lot. Theman, who once avoided school books, nudivores. Biographies. His trailer shelf showed thick volumes about Teddy Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and pianist Thelonious Monk. Crew members say he'll read a chapter between camera setups, then drop a quote on patience or grit during lunch. The night before big stunts, he sometimes meals with a single glass of red wine and quietly practices piano. The same fingers that scraped log bark and organ glide over keys to play a jazz tune he first mastered at 16. Yet Clint's toughness hides a risk-averse center when it comes to birthdays and cake. Daughter Allison says she tried to surprise him with an 85th birthday bash. Big banner, balloons, the works. As soon as Ash walked in, he thanked everyone, hugged each guest, then slipped out a side door. 10 minutes later, he was reportedly driving along Highway 1, windows down, listening to old blues records. Now family members follow a simple guideline: sign a card, hand it to him quietly, and in planned parties. Behind the legend sits the small tape recorder he keeps on his office shelf. It's the same model Raiders used in the 1980s. Clint records ideas one sentence at a time whenever inspiration hits. Empty room, deserted carnival, old man hears music. One scratchy tape begins an image that became a full screenplay outline. Younger writers at Malpaso transcribe thousand notes and build draft scripts. It's a method that lets a 95-year-old brainstorm at his own pace while a new generation shapes the scenes. Whenever people call Clint fearless, he corrects them. I'm scared of plenty, he says. Sharks in 1951, stunts in 1974, computers in 1997, but fear to him is a compass. If a project makes him nervous, like directing letters from Iwo Jima entirely in Japanese, he takes it on. That's how you learn. Heddles film students who visit his Carmel ranch for yearly workshops. A final Eastwood rule: trust first instincts. He keeps a framed note above his writing desk. It reads, "Take the first good idea and run." Under that simple line, in faded ink, is one more: don't wait for perfect. Perfect wastes time. Those sentences, scribbled during the hectic Dirty Harry shoot half a century ago, still guide every decision he makes. Public controversy has circled Clint for decades, but he tends to rid it out by staying quiet and moving forward. When the YouTube interview about juror number 2 disappeared without warning in late 2024, internet theories exploded. Some fans insisted Warner Brothers yanked it because Clint criticized cancel culture and modern political correctness. Others believed the takedown was simply a contractual spup about trailer footage. Clint said nothing. Instead, he spent that week in the editing room tightening a tense quorum sequence. By the time the studio issued a bland statement about rights clearance, the furor had cooled, proof that sometimes the best response is no response at all. On set, his one-take policy still surprises newcomers. Actress Keke Palmer, cast in juror number 2, walked onto her first scene prepared for endless coverage. Clint murmured, "Go and ready," watched the actors finish, and softly said, "Got it." Crew began striking lights. Palmer blinked, thinking he was rehearsing. Clint nodded and moved in. Later, over coffee, he explained his reasoning. The audience doesn't count your takes. They feel the energy. First takes alive. Don't chase the life out of it. This stripped-down method was never about laziness. It was about respect and Jeverian's time. Morgan Freeman once joked, "Clint sets rap so early you can still catch dinner with your family. The savings go right back into bolder scripts." That's how $1 Million Baby got greenlit when studios balked at its tough ending. Clint promised to shoot fast and cheap, and he delivered. Yet even efficiency has limits. During American Sniper, Clint insisted on precise firearm safety after Brandon Lee's tragic on-set death years earlier. Crews remember him triple-checking prop rifles himself. "If something goes wrong, it's on me," he told the armorer. The film's realistic but lessons earned praise for authenticity minus unnecessary risk. Clint's children used to worry he would slow down, but they have learned to stop predicting. When he neared 90, Scott thought his dad might finally hang up the bullhorn. A month later, Clint phoned him at dawn, "Pack warm clothes. We're scouting snow roads." For Clint, creating stories still feels urgent. "When you quit chasing ideas," he once told a UCLA masterclass, "ideas quit chasing you," industry friends whisper. This next film may truly be his last, but those same whispers surfaced after Unforgiven, after $1 Million Baby, after Gran Torino. Clint keeps proving them wrong. In private, he jokes that the secret to longevity is to keep the heart busy and the mouth mostly shut. That approach has weathered him through critical slams, studio rejections, and personal scandals. But Clint's life, viewed from above, is a map of constant reinvention. The privileged Piedmontine turned grease-stained mechanic. The fired contract player transformed into a global Western icon. The aging leading man became an Oscar-winning filmmaker. Along the way, he dodged easy labels, refused superhero capes, and let silent screen roar louder than speeches. He still prefers a worn poncho hanging in his closet to designer tuxedos and sealed garment bags. As he pushes through his mid-90s, Eastwood's daily habits offer a blueprint for vitality. Rise early, movie often, eat light, keep learning, fly over familiar landscapes to notice new angles, listen more than you command, and never waste a good first take. He shows that while fame can fade, purpose can burn steady. And for anyone feeling boxed in by age, Clint offers proof that fresh chapters wait beyond ordinary retirement leans. He learned to pilot helicopters at 58, to conduct full symphonic scores at 65, to direct war epics in a foreign language at 76, and to headline a top 10 global hit at 78. At 95, he still sets his alarm before dawn to chase one more shot, one more story, one more sunrise over Carmel's fog-covered cliffs. Until then, the toughest cowboy of Hollywood keeps riding, reminding all of us that limits often exist only in other people's imagination. As long as he has breath, curiosity, and that old one-take confidence, Clint Eastwood will keep proving that borrowed time can stretch farther than anyone thought possible.